Thank you very much. Last presentation, it's in English. Thank you very much for inviting me. I am absolutely delighted to be here. And on top of that, I come with two objectives and a quick message up front. Two objectives. I also, like previous speakers, would like to update you from the May ETAPA conference on behalf of a particular project we have been running at the EIB about what are the needs and demands in the smart city. So I'm updating following a presentation by my colleague Peter Barlick. I also would like to hopefully leave you with some insight into how we can actually support on a technical level some of these key points you've heard from the previous speakers. And finally, leave you with this first thought. The key message here that I would like to leave you with is, from a financing perspective, what we need are strong programs and strong projects to actually be able to process. In other words, here are your 5-6 key things that I will cover within 10 minutes. First, I am here speaking on behalf of JASPERS. JASPERS is a technical advisory and a joint assistant between the European Commission and the European Investment Bank to be put at the service of beneficiaries, which are cities, regions, or national level counterparts. We are independent advice and can be used to help absorb European funds. I think one of the key pluses and the key elements of JASPERS is that we are multi-sectoral. In other words, projects can actually have smart components within the area of transport, within the area of energy, within water, within smart development, which covers a whole range of, be it social housing, healthcare, research and development investment, for example, and finally also water and waste. Recently, we have also started supporting smart cities. Smart cities, in other words, in terms of being able to move towards what we've heard is this integrated planning, to move towards actually being able to create synergies between components, to move towards definitely a data-led city. We are aware of what goes on in the key and the top smart cities and help translate this for cities and regions for beneficiaries of structural funds. 3 elements that we support with or that we see as key to have in place to be able to use funds more effectively. One being that you link the urban development strategy or the key planning procedures to the smart city context. 2 strong action plans. We've just heard it before. I'm delighted to hear that we've got these national tools at your disposal. 3, then actually to identify, once the needs are clear, once the strategy is in place and is clearly defined, then to link the appropriate investment plans. In other words, in future, this may also mean blending between different kind of financing tools at that service. Why? Because in Europe, what we're trying to support is obviously to support cities and regions to make it smarter, greener, more connected, more social and livable, and of course, catering to the needs of the citizens where you are and where you are trying to make your impact. We monitor the smart indicators quite closely at the NUTS 2 level. This is built on Eurostat data in the key different layers of what smart cities or smart regions are identified as across the European Union. You see here why we have activated a concrete help or more assistance, better assistance, and also this concrete project, which is there is a clear gap between the recipients of the structural funds, countries. All of them are, technically speaking. However, there are those where you have more need, particularly at the regional level in terms of development gaps and in terms of really boosting what Europe wants to stand for and what Europe wants to achieve. And within that, this is difficult to see at the back end, so I'll say it out loud, as there are also on top of this significant differences between the capital regions and the second tier regions. Hence, equally, of course, I am mirroring what my previous speakers have said, this emphasis on second tier and on villages and on regions or hubs, innovation hubs, to drive development forward. What my colleague presented last time he was here is that we launched to learn and to support an initiative across the V4. Here in Slovakia, we worked with Prešo and with Nitra. I'm delighted to see Prešo in the room, may I say. And we wanted to look into the needs and into the gaps and how cities can be better supported in the context of structural funds, amongst other financing opportunities. In other words, 8 cities and regions. Common features definitely were to move towards to create new governance structures, to work better with data, to identify ways of tackling air pollution, climate activities as a key area, and to also identify how to really crack mobility. That definitely was a key element of what we found. And then there were very interesting specific local differences or varieties, where I will go into what in particular Prešo and Nitra we saw or we worked with in terms of our partnership there. What I would like to here say, and I'm not expecting you to be able to read that at the back, once we, maybe one thing in between, we are currently, in terms of where are we with the project, we are currently in the finalization stage, both of an overarching report, but most of all, this project was designed to work very closely with the cities and regions to really allow us to go deep into learning where the challenges are or where improvement could be made from a technical advisory level. And we applied the framework we've also heard reflected by my previous speakers, which is the framework of where is that key difference in terms of the smart city. It's to actually put the integrated governance layer first. And usually this is multi-stakeholder and multi-sectoral, very difficult to do. Generally something cities have to work very hard at to be able to actually identify concrete programs and projects that they work across, where that needs to be in future identified, informed by data, which is also what we've heard, and has a very close link to this citizen engagement, citizen link, equally something cities as well as regions, of course, struggle with. We then have key driving sectors reflected here, and you won't be surprised, as the ICT sector, the energy sector, the mobility sector, the water, and this is, by the way, the water and waste sector, so it's basically city systems, for want of a better term, as well as a wide and relatively loose collection of what could be argued as the citizen and local business. SME, we've heard, segment that you want to engage and really become strong partners with. Underlying that, of course, a key shift is also towards a more diversified funding portfolio, possibly away from pure grant financing, whilst we're seeing cities and regions developing more opportunities also in terms of private lending or national lending type mechanisms that come in, potentially also other EU funds that come in as opportunities. So my tale of 2 Slovak cities. Nitra, just 3 key points to leave you with. Nitra is located, from our perspective, Nitra is actually located relatively close to Bratislava. Hence what we here were looking for is really how is the smart specialization that should also be potentially part of a regional hub type idea actually playing out in terms of how Nitra envisions its smart city. The second thing in terms of Nitra is that it actually has a major secured a major investment by Land Rover, and therefore has both to deliver on its city development and absorb new people that may move there, new skills that are required, etc., etc., and hence how in reaction to this it could potentially improve its city development to reflect this upcoming need. A key issue was around smart waste management and also to really improve energy efficiency across buildings and to effectively tap into national programs of energy efficiency better. In terms of Prešo, and I do admit that this is only one slide and only 1 second, right? There is much more in the reports, may I say that? So here, it's a slightly different view, which is the key recommendations we left Pressure with, and we really hope in partnership to develop further with them. I've got 3 more slides, if that's all right. Is to develop this integrated data capacity, to build capacity for this smart governance, particularly this multi-sectoral and multi-stakeholder system, to really go further with its co-design for citizens, multimodal, integrated transport being a key issue, flooding and climate change as a key area that came up, geospatial data to actually support integrated planning to move this area forward, and finally to bring in ideas around the circular economy into waste and water management. At the same time, I'm also here, this is sort of key findings if you look at Slovakia as a country. However, there's a parallel process going on, or a parallel project going on from the EIB to look into whether there is the potential for a smart cities platform, which actually in future may blend ESSA funds with other funds, and therefore allows a really key financing infrastructure for smaller municipalities potentially, or clusters of municipality, to really drive this forward. This is ongoing and underway, and I possibly could say that maybe the next ITAPA conference maybe have something to hear from this ongoing initiative. I will skip this and directly bring you to, so from where we can go based on our learning with cities and on the basis of this report and this initiative, is we have learned as JASPERS we can actually, there is a high value to bring us in as a partner, a technical partner, into this integrated planning, upstream planning type of advisory service.